Kyle Shanahan just said that Jimmy Garoppolo sprained his throwing shoulder in the second quarter against Dallas. He's going to practice and play this week, but I didn't know that. So what do you think of that? What's your reaction to that news? And then we'll talk. What was your impression of his performance?
Well, I mean, we'll get into his performance. My first reaction to the injury is I'm glad that they expect him to practice and play. My impression usually this time in the NFL is that everybody's injured. Like everybody's body is aching, whether there's a medical diagnosis on it at all. I just think attrition takes over throughout the season. So I'm not shocked that, Garoppolo is dealing with the sprain. But I've also seen playoffs where Aaron Rodgers has played through it with a torn calf, or Tom Brady playing through it with a torn MCL. I've seen a lot of different. Philip Rivers played a playoff game with a torn ACL. So to me, sure, like it's something to monitor, but I don't expect it to be a hindrance on his performance if he does play, and I don't expect it to make a massive difference. I think some people might point to it in the football game. Like, oh, he played the first half really well. He sprained his shoulder. That's why he had a poor second half. But here we are, 4 playoff games into Jimmy Garoppolo's career, and he has not played well in a single one of them. So I'm seeing a different trend.
Interesting and probably coincidental that a similar thing happened after the Tennessee game. Poor performance, highly publicized, national television. The next day, there's an excuse for it. And I'm not saying it's not valid, but wow, that's twice in a row in the span of a month, less than a month. Wow.
I think it is a little coincidental.
Yes.
We already know, right, that he's dealing with this thumb injury and he's battling through it. I mean, I just mentioned Rodgers, Brady. He himself is battling through an apparently allegedly torn thumb. So he's also battling through injury and managing his body and playing in the playoffs. But yeah, I do think it's a matter of coincidence. To get into his performance, he did not play very well yesterday. The first half was okay. The second half was bad. I think when I look at the first half, the reason I can't go gung-ho in terms of giving credit to him is I thought there were really 2 throws that he made in the first half that were, more than just what a starting quarterback should be able to make. And that was the out route to Juwan Jennings. It was great ball placement, low and away. He put that on threaded that on a needle on third down. And then the off schedule he made that he threw a strike to Ayuk outside the numbers. Ayuk made a great catch and did a great job of keeping his body control to extend for the first down, but he was off schedule and he threw an absolute strike. My issue is that, when you're paying a quarterback $25 million and you're in the playoffs, those plays should be routine. And I think the problem is that the first half was really just filled with plays that if Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't make those plays, he wouldn't be looked at as a starting player in the NFL. And he's looked at it like that because he does have an adequate skill set and he is talented. So it's just very difficult for me to sit and credit it. I thought he got a little tight too late in that football game. The second half, especially the fourth quarter, a lot of those drives felt like how it felt during the Super Bowl, where it just felt like the offense was struggling to move. It was like each play was taking a couple years off my life. And I felt that same thing, except I think the biggest difference in this game in the Super Bowl is that you had the illegal hands to the face penalty. You had the 2 defensive holding calls. Dallas really beat themselves in this game. I don't want to harp on Garoppolo because I do think it was a great performance by the Niners overall to go on the road and win a playoff game. Always a tough thing to do, and they did it. But I do think that there's a little bit of a fear factor as a fan for me. Here we are, 4 times this guy's played in the playoffs, and he has basically a half and a drive where he's not played poorly. And that's the drive versus the Vikings. I guess maybe the Super Bowl first half you can kind of say, though I thought he missed a few throws there too. And I think that's scary because this team showed yesterday, and this defense especially, to be able to do that to a good quarterback and Dak Prescott and a good offense without Fred Warner for the last 8 minutes, without Nick Bosa for a half. Like, they're ready for a Super Bowl. And the question is Garoppolo going to be able to play at that level in these playoffs?
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's 2 ways to look at it from Niner fans. Is like, he won the game, so why are you getting mad about it? Like, he clearly is part of their winning formula. But then I think the other way to look at it, which is how I look at it, is they're winning in spite of him right now. Like, they're loaded. This team is loaded, and they shouldn't be They shouldn't be going down to the wire in every single game, and they're going down to the wire in these games for one reason: quarterback. And I mean, I guess it's hard to say that the rookie with 2.5 games under his belt is a better option, but what I am saying is that it doesn't look like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get it done this season. I mean, look, let me put it this way. If Deebo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell in this defense can continue to play as well as they are, it may not freaking, like, the Niners might be able to win this with like prime Trent Dilfer. They might be that good, but that's kind of what we're getting right now is what I'm seeing, like prime Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, and I think the two things that's important, right? Like, we don't know if the rookie can play better right now. Like, again, we get on Garoppolo a lot. He's still a starter in the NFL, and if the Niners move to Trey Lance, which is what's been reported, he will be starting somewhere next year. There's no doubt about it. I think the thing to look at it with that, though, is this is clearly why they drafted Trey Lance. It's playing out right in front of us. There's some limitations. I think the other thing to
the tightness in the second half was really disconcerting. Because, like, as you pointed out, it's a lot like the Super Bowl. And he's gotten this reputation as being clutch. And he's had some really nice drives at the end of regular season games. But look at his playoff resume. Not clutch.
Yeah, and really, I feel I've compared him to Eli Manning because of his nonchalance, which occurs in the regular season. It's yet to happen in the playoffs. And nonchalance, what I mean by that is they just don't seem affected by the moment or by a mistake. They're totally unfazed. Yeah, but the issue is that when I do make that 2011 Giants comparison, Eli Manning played lights out in those playoffs. And he delivered one performance that was spectacular, and that was in this NFC Championship game against the 49ers in what was Candlestick Park at the time. Yeah. He was getting hit every play. I've never seen a quarterback play. That's as tough a game as I've seen a quarterback play. He stood up and made some huge throws in that game to Victor Cruz against maybe the best iteration of the Niners defense with Harbaugh. That might have been the best one, 2011. And if the Niners are going to go on to the Super Bowl, which clearly they have the talent to do, they have the coach, to me, they have the defense, he's got to deliver one of these performances at some point. It can't even be a performance. It has to be where late in the game he pulls them out and delivers it. Because yesterday, the reason that you go from saying, oh, they won with him to they won in spite of him is because he threw that stupid interception in the fourth quarter. If he doesn't throw that interception, sure, we're not sitting here saying he played great, but we're also not even talking about him because
they probably win by 13 or 14.
Yeah, and he's a moot point. He played okay. Yeah. They clearly have a great team, all of that. That interception was so awful, and it came at such a bad time.
Followed by the botched quarterback sneak just for the icing on the cake. Wow.
Right, and the botched quarterback sneak is awful.
Which is something they've executed perfectly all year. Now you can't do quarterback sneak. Wow.
High school quarterbacks know to give their guy a chance when he goes to motion to set himself. To me, that's basic. And those two things are why, when you turn on national TV this morning, one, it's all talking about Dallas. Is Dallas a failure? Fire Mike McCarthy. But the conversation about the Niners isn't DeMeco Ryans is a genius. Shanahan's a genius. Deebo Samuel's special. It's how far can they go with Garoppolo? Because we see this really good team, but we also saw a quarterback who, when you're up 23-7, threw a disgusting interception, missed a wide open Brandon Ayuk on a third down. And those are the kind of mistakes that they can't afford to make because, again, Dallas committed 14 penalties in this football game. Those 14 penalties allowed for this margin of error. Green Bay is not going to allow this margin for error. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will throw the interception that Dak threw to K'Wan Williams either.
And real quick, it seems to me that Jimmy Garoppolo really hasn't played well since the game that he injured his thumb. Now, he wasn't playing well really before he injured that thumb in this game, but the last 3 starts haven't been good. 5 picks the last 3 starts. Now he's got a shoulder on top of it, and it's his throwing shoulder, and he's going to Green Bay, and it's going to be really cold. What are we really expecting here? Are we getting to a point? I mean, I'm not writing the Niners off because, again, they could run to victory here. But at what point are his limitations going to just end the season and the Niners will be like, oh, well, our guy was hurt, and that's why we lost? I hate to hear that.
I don't think it'll be that because they admitted his limitations to you. That's why Trey Lance was drafted where he was and all of that. But I think because we also have the frame of reference of seeing in the Super Bowl when it really came together in that fourth quarter of everyone was saying, when is Garoppolo going to hurt them? When is Garoppolo going to hurt them? The entire playoffs, they took the ball out of his hands, put the ball in his hands when it counts. And, forget the Sanders play. To me, the most egregious miss of that game is 3rd and 5. You're running arches, a Shanahan favorite. Kittle comes open right in front of his face. He's the first read on the play, and he's throwing a comeback to
2-yard pass to Tevin Coleman or something,
No, he threw the comeback to Kendrick Bourne. The one Bourne ran the wrong route, and there was a little debate on the communication of that, but Kittle was the first read. He came wide open. and he just didn't throw him the ball. I don't know why, but I hope that doesn't happen again, honestly, this year as a fan, because I do think Garoppolo is capable. We've seen him do it in the regular season. We saw him do it like 5 different times in the regular season, but here we are. 4 times now he's played in the playoffs, and all 4 times he's been underwhelming.